Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is the second book in the Harry Potter franchise, and it marks the second year of our pal Harry at Hogwarts, the school for witchcraft and wizardry. The story starts off with Harry with his aunt and uncle. God, could I not stand his aunt and uncle. Such an abusive pair of guardians. I mean, if I was under their care, I wouldn't be taking their shit. But then again, I'm not Harry. Anyways, he's at his aunt and uncle's, and he's not allowed to use his magic because, well, they don't trust magic. In addition to that, he hasn't really heard from his friends at all during the whole entire summer break. One night, going up to his room, he sees a house elf named Dobby. Now, elves are portrayed a little differently in the Harry Potter universe than they are in other universes, like the Tolkien universe or the D&D universe, or even with Santa Claus. I mean, elves in general are portrayed differently. Recently, a lot of fictional media are using elves like Tolkien did in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which are humanoids, fair skin, look almost exactly like us, just a little shorter, a little lighter, and pointed ears. But in the Harry Potter universe, the elves are almost more like goblins than they are elves. Very small statured individuals, kind of scrawny, pointed ears, long-ass nose, no hair from what I could tell. I mean, they just don't look like elves. They look like goblins. But elves are also put into the category as servants, house elves. They're servants for powerful wizards and for institutions. And they're treated in such an odd manner. For example, depending on who has the elf in their employment, the elf goes so far to beat itself. But I'm going a little too far off track. We're not talking about the elves here. We're talking about Harry. So anyways, Harry gets a visit from this Dobby, and Dobby says, "Hey, Harry, do not go to Hogwarts. It's dangerous." And Harry's like, "Screw that shit. I'm going to Hogwarts. I want to learn how to do magic. I want to know how to cast a fireball and maximize my spell." But Dobby's like, "No, you can't go to Hogwarts. It's dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt." And Harry says, "No, screw you. I'm going to Hogwarts." And it's revealed that Dobby has actually been stealing all the letters that Harry has been getting from his friends. Dobby disappears, causes some trouble for Harry, which actually gets him in trouble with not only his uncle and aunt, but also with the Ministry of Magic, because the Ministry of Magic thinks he's used spells, and underage wizards aren't allowed to. Anyways, one night, the Weasleys show up, Ron and his brothers, in a flying car, and breaks Harry loose and brings him back to their place, where Harry spends the rest of the summer with the Weasleys. And there he gets a chance to actually learn more about the Weasleys and also learn more about the magical world outside of Hogwarts, because he really only had exposure to this magical world via Hogwarts. He hasn't really seen what a family's like in this magical world. So Harry gets to experience time with the Weasleys and then is off to school. So they go to school, and as Ron and Harry are about to enter into the portal, they don't. Yeah, something is blocking their way, so they have to take the magical car, which they think is a smart idea to do, and fly to Hogwarts. It starts off pretty nice, until they crash. They get into trouble, but it's not quite that bad. They just get a little slap on the wrist, and, well, hey, second year started. And things start off not that bad for Harry. Pretty good. That is until the main plot starts to kick in. See, a bunch of students are starting to get petrified. Basically, they're getting frozen. They can't move. They can't speak. They can't blink. They're frozen. It starts off with the housekeeper's cat, and then goes to some students, and then even hits home with some of Harry's friends. And no one knows exactly who's attacking these students, but it's got a lot of people scared. Harry needs to figure out exactly who is petrifying these people, who are attacking these students and almost killing them. And at the same time, Harry thinks he's going a little crazy because he's hearing voices in his head, kind of like how Randy Orton hears voices in his head, and no one else can hear these voices, just him. So the question is this: can Harry find out what the cause of these attacks are? Or will he unfortunately have to take blame for it, as seeing that he's always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And while this is going down, he's still got to take care of his arch nemesis, Draco Malfoy, who's now part of the Quidditch team as their Seeker. So let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, I can start things off by saying that the overall plot for Chamber of Secrets was better than Sorcerer's Stone. Sorcerer's Stone's plot was such a small thing that it was actually more of a subplot than anything, and it really didn't pick up pace until the end. Chamber of Secrets is a consistent plot that we constantly get exposure to. People are getting frozen here, people are getting frozen there, people are going frozen here. And it takes these teens, a great amount of work to figure out what's going on. They do a lot of research. Hermione, Ron, and Harry, they go to a lot of extremes to figure out exactly what's going on in Hogwarts. I also like how the overall story kind of came together in a nice, neat package. There's a lot of twists and turns, some mystery to it. I like mystery. And really, you don't expect the ending until it actually happens. You're like, so that's who's behind it. I didn't see that happening. Or you might if you've watched the movie. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is a good mystery and everything ties together in a nice, neat bow. I also like how Harry gets a little bit more exposure to the Weasleys. I like how his Ron Weasley's mother and father take akin to him in different ways. Ron's mother treats him more like a son, while his father is more interested in Harry's experience in the Muggle world. We also get more exposure from like Ron's sister and his brothers. And I like the interaction between Harry and the Weasley family. I know that there's stuff that goes down between Harry and one particular member of the Weasley family because someone spoiled it for me, but I will not say what or who or anything at all. But it's nice to see that exposure there too. I like to see how everyone was kind of on edge with this particular situation. I also like the Quidditch that was going on. I thought the teachers were portrayed pretty nicely, and on a whole, it was a pretty good story. Bad. Well, the first bad I have to say I have with this is the one thing I really liked about the first book is we get this exposure to this new world, and there's a lot of immersion, and there's a lot of school stuff. I like school stuff. I like them going to class and sitting down and kind of just learning stuff. Whether it's part of the plot or not, I just like them learning stuff. It's fun. I mean, it really doesn't push the story that much, but it's just cool because it's like you're learning this stuff with Harry. So it's a nice little immersion into the book. And we don't quite get that as much in Chamber of the Secrets. We still get it, but I feel as though whenever we get it, it's more or less to push the plot than just for the sake of having fun and getting that immersion. So that's one thing I didn't like. Two is it feels as though Harry's not that much smarter from the previous year when it comes down to magic. I mean, he's had a year's worth of education at Hogwarts, and where I don't see him going to be on the level of Hermione, because Hermione is just a prodigy, I would at least think Harry would have a little bit more knowledge in the general world of magic. And I do know that he was not allowed to have his wand and his books during the summer break with his aunt and uncle, but still, it feels as though Harry's still that outsider looking in, which isn't bad for the reader because we get to experience stuff with Harry, but it feels as though he only has like 1 or 2 or 3 spells with it. I also don't like how some things are just so predictable in the Harry Potter universe, and you kind of get that a little bit here. Names in particular. I'm going to take up 2 examples. For example, in the 3rd book, which we haven't touched upon, but there is a Professor Lupin. Just taking from his name, I already know what the deal is with him. Already. And then in the 2nd book, there's a professor called Professor Lockhart. And right off the name, I was able to piece together things before I even read it. I was like, oh, I bet this is going to happen with the teacher. Maybe I'm more studious to this stuff because I read a lot. For example, I told this to my girlfriend because she was actually inquiring this stuff yesterday, and she doesn't care for Harry Potter at all. She never got into it. And I told her how I pieced together exactly what happened with Professor Lupin in the 3rd book, and she said, I would never have figured that out. So maybe it's just me, but it feels as though things are just given away if you piece it together. Kind of like how in certain TV shows, like the Batman animated series, if certain music is played, then you know what villain is going to show up or what's going to happen. So it's kind of predictable in that sense, and I don't really like that. I don't want every year the defense against the dark art teacher to be that person that you have to watch for, whether it's for ill or for good. And you know it's always the defense against the dark art teacher. On the whole, where does this stand? Well, I have to say, despite the bads that I threw out there, I did like this more than Sorcerer's Stone. Mind you, there is stuff in Sorcerer's Stone I like more than in this book, like the school stuff. I liked the school stuff. I thought the overall plot in this book was better. I liked the characterization of the people in here better. I liked the interactions with some characters better, like the Weasley family with Harry, or Harry and Ron, or even Hermione going around with her characters, with her interaction with characters. I thought it was overall a better book than Sorcerer's Stone. Like I said, the stuff from Sorcerer's Stone I like more than this book, but this is an overall better book than Sorcerer's Stone, and I do recommend it. Few notes on my previous video. First and foremost is I'm horrible with Harry Potter pronunciation of names. For example, and I can't help it, I say Dumbledore instead of Dumbledore, or Voldemort instead of Voldemort. It's just because I watched the movies before I watched the books or read the books. I only saw the first 4 movies, and I don't even remember them that well before reading them. But that's just how I heard it, so it's stuck in my head. So please forgive me if I screw up the redonkulous names that are in this. Half the time I just call Dumbledore Dumbledore. Dumbledore. It's Dumbledore. But I call him Dumbledore. Like Ganondorf. Haha! So, yes. Sorry about that. It's just Harry Potter pronunciations. Which is kind of interesting because I didn't learn how to speak until I was 3. And I had to go to a speech therapist to learn how to speak. And here's the funny thing. My speech therapist was of Hispanic descent. So now I have a Spanish accent on certain words, or I say certain words different. So, for example, I had to force myself to say banana because I say banana. Like, Mom, can I have a banana? I say it with kind of a Spanish tone to it. Or bagel, I say bago. It's weird. It happened when I went to Ireland, too. I pick up accents and tone of words because they say, part of my language, fuck, feck. And I picked up that, and for a month after that, I was saying feck. So, anyways, sorry about my pronunciations when it comes down to the Harry Potter names. Second thing is when I was talking about these books being geared towards kids more than adults. I never said that these books could not be read and enjoyed by adults at all. That was not my intention. And I apologize if that's how people saw it. What I was saying is that these books are probably more easily enjoyable by kids or people younger than the age of 20. Again, that's just my perception, and that could change when it comes to the end of the book series. I'm only on book 4, and I'm halfway through book 4. I think I'm on chapter 17 right now. But the fact of the matter remains is adults can read this and adults can enjoy this, but I see this being geared more towards kids. Again, that could change. But I never meant to say that these were only for kids. Okay? So anyways, with that said, first of all, part of my language I used in this video. I don't really like to use swears too much. But anyways, wrapping it up. Chamber of Secrets, good Harry Potter book. I enjoyed it, and it is a recommendation. It was better than the first one. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.